So what if I told you that one piece of plastic could unlock a world of possibilities for your own business? From getting 0% interest for 12 to 18 months to getting access to huge amounts of lines of credit, also known as free money, as long as you pay it off on time, to even having perks and rewards that you wouldn't have access to. Well, if that sounds too good to be true, it's not. Back when I first started my own entrepreneurial journey about 5 years back, I faced countless amount of challenges. A lot of these obstacles that I ran into are the most common ones that most entrepreneurs experience on their journey. Some of these things were running into unpredictable cash flow, not having access to lines of credit or free money, which would have enabled me to scale faster, or worrying about how if my business may not have been profitable one month, it could ruin my own personal credit score. Lucky enough, back then, I stumbled upon a secret weapon, and as soon as I started my first business, I was able to leverage these things called business credit cards that have helped me along so much on this journey. Now, the best part about all this is that it's not only free, but if you use the lessons that I mentioned to you in this video, you can get hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest-free lines of credit and even some free cash back. So in this video, more specifically, I'm gonna walk you through everything you need to know about business credit cards, from the basics to advanced strategies. I'll also go over how it personally benefited me and how you can get approved for one today. So whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or you're someone who's just getting started, stick around because this just might be the most valuable piece of content that you watch to help your own business. And also, if you don't have your own business, that's completely okay because I'll still find a way in this video to make sure that you guys have all the right steps and procedures in getting a business credit card.
Good morning, everyone. I am here in Mexico, and I wanted to tell you guys one of the reasons why I've been able to take this trip is by strategically using different free tools and assets that all of you guys have access to, and this is going to be business credit cards. If you guys want to learn how to do the same, this video is all about it in today's episode. And normally we got like course gurus trying to sell this information for a premium online and through ClickFunnels and all that, but this is here on YouTube completely for free. So just do me a favor, watch this video all the way till the end if you guys want to learn more about how to get a whole bunch of business credit all for free. And on top of that, be sure to check out the links down below in the description. Also from our sponsor of this video, Taylor Brands, who can also help you set up your LLC, which we'll talk about later on in this video. But in the meantime, enjoy today's content, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
So to kick this video off, let's first go over the benefits of business credit cards, starting with having access to a higher credit limit. So say as an example, if you were to sign up for a personal credit card like the Chase Sapphire Preferred, you would normally be getting a credit limit of $5,000 to $10,000. Business credit cards naturally come with much higher credit limits, even if you put in the same details on a personal card. This is because a lot of the banks and issuers understand that business credit cards need more lines of credit to have access to running ads, buying inventory, or things that are more common to the practice of running a business. So say as an example, you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred. It comes with a $10,000 credit limit, but you get the business version of that card as well, which would be the Chase Inc. Business Preferred. That card might even have a credit limit that is double the one of your personal card. It's also not uncommon to see limits as high as $40,000, $50,000, or even $100,000 on some of these business cards. The second benefit with business credit cards is that it helps you to earn a lot of points, and this is through accessing better welcome bonus offers. Let's use the same example of the Chase Sapphire Preferred. By getting this card right now, you'd be earning 60,000 Chase Ultimate Reward points after you spend the required amount. Alternatively, if we look at the Chase Inc. Business Preferred, this card right now is offering a 100,000 bonus point sign-up offer. Now, the caveat to this is that business credit cards will give you more points, but they usually have a higher threshold on the amount of money that you need to spend. If you are running a business that does have higher expenses, generally you shouldn't have an issue of hitting those spend requirements either. If you happen to be someone like me though, maybe you run a social media business, you run a marketing agency, or you just run a consulting business where your only expense might be a subscription to your Zoom account, or even just a few things that really don't add up to be much. If that's the case and you're trying to earn these welcome bonus offers, there are a few more strategies that I'll talk about at the end of this video on what you can do to get it. Going back into the benefits though of business credit cards, you'll also find that business cards have way more earning categories than your personal counterpart. As an example, if you look at the Chase Freedom Flex card or even the Capital One Saver One card, these cards will give you cash back on things like dining and takeout. But when it comes to business credit cards, you can see benefits extending into many different categories, such as advertising on social platforms, internet, phone, and cable providers, or even getting money on things like office supply stores, shipping purchases, and computer parts. This is great because it means you can earn a lot more points on the expenses that you're already spending regarding your business compared to the personal counterpart, where the cards may not give you money back on your ad spend and you'd only be getting 1x back. What I personally love about my business credit cards, though, is the fact that it separates my personal and my business expenses, making accounting and bookkeeping a lot easier. Look, I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur or a business owner. I didn't go to school to study any of this stuff. I actually was working my way up to be in the world of law enforcement. So a huge U-turn on my own life. And what I'll say is this: I got to a point where I went from making $0 a year, I actually went negative 1 year, to now running a 7 to 8 figure company. I know that if I was able to do it, that you guys can too. And when we talk about the late stage game of being an entrepreneur, you realize that organization and simplicity really is such a blessing. Business credit cards can also save you time and money because you don't have to go back and have someone reconcile your books, where you have to start categorizing your different charges. Look, I wish before I even started my business, I had a business credit card at the get-go, and that way I would have saved myself so much more time and headache. But a lot of that is hindsight. If you're watching this video now, you're able to start today, which is all that really matters. Now, last but not least, what I truly love about business credit cards is that certain issuers actually don't report your business credit onto your own personal credit history. That way, if you wanted to take advantage of something like a 0% APR offer, it wouldn't impact your own personal credit to carry that balance. Look, business is tough. There were moments where I wanted to throw in the towel because I was like, this is just not worth it. I'm not making enough money. Thank the Lord I was able to stick through all those times. But if I hadn't, and I put everything on my own personal credit, and then I wasn't able to pay off those charges, I would have tanked my own credit score. This means that you have a possibility of scrapping a business, realizing it doesn't work, because I failed a lot of businesses in the past, and your personal credit score is still good enough where you can move on and start a new venture. Now, I'll give you guys a little secret hidden tip right here. When you see the people that actually have 30, 40, or even 50 credit cards, it's not because they've applied for every personal credit card out on the market. It's actually because they were able to start multiple businesses and get the same business credit cards under that account. So take as an example, I have my old e-commerce store. I don't use that anymore, but right now I have a media company, and right now we're trying to build a few other businesses. That right there, that's like 4 or 5 different businesses I can start, and each one of those businesses can have their own dedicated cards. Multiply the amount of businesses that you have with the potential 3+ business credit cards you can get on each account, and it starts to get a bit more reasonable and understanding on how people are able to get so many cards and rack up a ton of points. Now, in the world of business credit cards, there are a lot of common myths, and one of the main ones is that you need to have a massive company. So it turns out you don't even need to have a massive company, and you don't even need to have a company that is making a ton of revenue. Both the government and credit card issuers are very understanding on the loose term of what a business really entails. So this means if you've ever delivered food for Uber Eats, or you've done something where you've walked dogs on Rover, you're technically considered to be a small business owner. This is because a freelancer or a contractor still falls under the operator of owning your own business, because you're not an employee to a dedicated company or corporation. Later on in this video, I'll also give you some more clear examples on some of the businesses that you can start today, just in case you're watching this video and you are starting from scratch without a real business. Another myth, and something that I personally struggled with a few years back in getting my first business credit card, was the fact that I needed to have a brick and mortar store. This means I needed to have a business that literally had a door, it had an address, something that you could walk into, like a coffee shop or even more. Now, it turns out for the year 2023, a majority of businesses don't even have physical locations anymore. I thought because I didn't have an actual office space, and the fact that even now I'm still working out of my own home, that it makes me less legitimate than if a business had real doors that you could walk into. Don't think because you're working at your home office and you're working in your underwear, just like me, psych, now I'm wearing shorts, that you're not gonna be eligible for business cards. It actually turns out that a lot more internet entrepreneurs right now who are pulling off the Kevin O'Leary, working in their underwear, actually making more money than some of these other mom and shop brick and mortar stores that have an actual location where they're wasting their money on rent. Another misconception I've heard is that if you wanna get a business credit card, you need to have really, really good credit, like above 800. Now, although a 720+ credit score is what I'd personally recommend, I've still seen people with a 680 780 credit score getting approved for some of these cards. I get it. Business credit cards, bigger lines of credit, it seems more official, a bit more scary on that application because it's like 3 times the length of a personal credit card application. Just realize that even if you don't have the most perfect score in the world, you could still be eligible in getting approved. Another commonly asked question I get is, Brian, if I get a business credit cards, will they cancel my card account if I end up accidentally putting some personal expenses on it? Look, a lot of these issuers nowadays, they make it clear with their fine print that you should not ever put personal expenses on your business credit card. But from my own experience, I've had instances where I accidentally put, like a restaurant charge that I ate with my family on a business credit card, or there were times where I've had to buy a camera. But these companies, they're not going to be able to differentiate a personal versus a business expense. This is because nowadays there's just a wide variety of different businesses, and it wouldn't make sense for them to go through every single purchase that everyone is making just to catch a few of the people who might be putting some personal expenses on their business cards. Take as another example, I have my own home decoration company where on my business credit card, they just see me racking up charges on IKEA, Our House, CB2, some of the more designer brands where you buy furniture. Compare me to a mom who has a business credit card, but she doesn't have a business within the furniture world and she's just using it to buy her own personal home furniture. The banks aren't going to be able to tell a difference. So for anyone who worries whether or not a personal expense is going to get their business credit card taken away, I wouldn't stress about it, but I also need to emphasize the fact that you should be using business credit cards mainly for your business. Now, the last common misconception that I see is the fact that most people think business credit cards cost you money instead of making it. Look, as long as you pay off your credit card in full on time, or if you're using that 0% intro APR bonus offer and you make sure you pay off the full balance before it expires, you're still going to come out ahead. There are instances where some business credit cards come with an annual fee, but if you're able to get a welcome bonus offer, or you just calculate the points that you earn from spending on that card, you realize you're still making money. At the end of the day, use these cards like how I teach people to use personal credit cards, and you're still able to make money. Now, at this point, let's talk about the best method and step in getting approved. What's great about this is that you can literally get started right now, and within the next 5 to 10 days, or even some of y'all might get instant approvals, you can get your own business credit card today. Here's how. First of all, make sure you have a decent credit score. If you got like a 500 credit score, please focus on getting that up first, because there is a 90% chance that you're not going to get approved. If you're one of the many people that have a credit score of at least 700, I'd say you have some pretty strong chances of getting approved. But the next thing you want to do is make sure that you have a legitimate business. To do this, there's a 3-step protocol that we're going to follow. And this is just choosing the right business credit cards, setting up the right business entity, and then applying. To start, getting the best business credit card is all about knowing what fits within your own criteria for your spend. A general rule of thumb when applying though is Chase Ink cards are definitely one of the best and one of my favorite. And then after that, if you're trying to get a card issuer that accepts more people, it's going to be American Express. I think for me personally, if you have any one of Chase's personal credit cards, this is a no-brainer because you can combine all your points and you can see all of your cards within your account, making for more of a seamless and simplified, organized experience. For me personally, I have the Chase Ink Business Preferred, the Ink Business Cash, and the Business Unlimited, and all of those cards come with high credit limits, and the approval was very smooth. Just keep in mind with Chase, generally the first time you apply for a new business credit card, they're not going to approve you right away, and they're going to say, oh, your application is pending. We'll follow you up with some more questions that we need in order to fully get you approved. On top of that, between the 3 Chase Ink Business cards, the 2 that I mainly focus on is the Ink Business Unlimited and the Ink Business Cash, and that's because both of those cards have 0% intro APR offers for 12 months. Now, if you know you're going to be paying off your credit card on time and you're not interested in utilizing free lines of credit so you can leverage other people's money, you can go ahead, check out the Chase Ink Business Preferred card, because that one actually has a elevated welcome bonus offer for a lower minimum spend requirement during the time that I filmed this video. When it comes to getting approved for any one of the Chase cards, the main requirement is to just prove you own the business and to also showcase that you have business income. It's also worth noting that your banking relationship with Chase is also going to play a favor on whether or not you get approved. So if you have no relationship with Chase, you never carried a Chase card in your life, and you don't even bank with them, and you apply right away for a new business credit card, it could be a little bit more tricky in getting approved for that first one. So I highly recommend that you at least get a no annual fee card, set up automatic payments on there, so at least they have your name, your social much security within their system to know that you are a real person that is not having a high chance of fraud. Even just a few months of banking history is sufficient enough with them, but if you somehow don't have too much luck with Chase for whatever reason, definitely consider American Express. Some of my favorite credit cards with American Express is the Business Platinum, the Business Gold, and the American Express Blue Business Plus card. With American Express, a lot of these cards are also charge cards, meaning that you can have these huge credit limits, but you got to make sure that you actually pay it off on time in full. Another thing to note though is that American Express does give out promotional offers. So sometimes they extend lines of credit where you can carry a balance and they say, okay, it's only going to cost you like 10% in interest if you want to carry that balance. And if you're in a real sticky situation with your business, this could come in clutch because you compare this to other business loans from the banks and they'll charge you 20 to 30%, or sometimes you have to give up equity in your business in order to keep it afloat. This is why I think unsecured business credit cards are some of the best tools to exist. On top of that, if you have a business credit card with American Express, you can also do something called a triple credit limit increase. What this pretty much means is if you get a $10,000 credit limit, you can get it increased automatically online at the click of a button to request for $30,000. If all is good, you'll probably get approved for that. Worst case scenario, they say, nah, we'll give you $20,000 instead. So with all that information, if you're still not sure about which credit cards to get, I actually made a video on talking about the best business credit cards, going into more detail on some of the perks and offers that they have. So watch that at the end of this video. Moving forward in the 3-step process, number 2 is going to be setting up a new business entity. So you can pretty much fast forward this part if you already have a business, but if you're someone who doesn't have a business, here are a list of 7 ideas that you can utilize today in order to get approved. So the first and easiest one is going to be a social media influencer. Now, to be an influencer, there's no like regulatory certificate you need to get. There's no class you need to pass. If you're in the business of posting on your personal brand, say on your Instagram, your TikTok, you're making content and you use this with the intention of making money, you can consider this to be your own social media business. The second one is consulting. What I love about consulting is the fact that you don't need any expenses to start, and all you need, like I mentioned way earlier in this video, is like an account on Zoom or an account with Google Meet, which a lot of those are even free. The third business that even I myself was doing when I was like 12 years old was reselling. This is the act of buying something and reselling it on eBay or another marketplace. So if you're into clothes, if you're into shoes, if you're into watches, if you're able to buy some of these products, you know that it will sell for a profit. You have a business right there. That usually involves some type of hobby or a skill. These other ones don't require too much. So one of them is tutoring, and more specifically, you can actually tutor people to teach them the language that you already know. So check out a website called Preply. I also have that link down below in the description where you can tutor people different languages from all around the world. You can set your own hours, you can set how much you want to get paid, and that right there sets you up for your own business as well. The next one is going to be blogging, where you pick a niche and you use a website hosting service like Taylor Brands, which I'm going to talk about soon, and pretty much you can just type away, type out places you travel to, get different affiliate links, and from there, you can start monetizing your own business of having a personal blog. If that right there is too much work for you, I think the laziest business you can start today, it might not make the most amount of money, but you can at least use this to get started and getting a business credit card, is being a restaurant critic. Now to do this, it's really easy. All you have to do is go out, eat at places you're already eating at, and whenever you finish your meal, take a photo. Take a photo before you even eat your meal, write a review about it, post it online on Yelp or Google Reviews. It turns out if you post a lot of really high quality reviews on things like Yelp, you can eventually become Yelp Elite, where you then get invited out to secret little Yelp Elite parties and you can monetize your brand further that way. As someone who owns a restaurant here in the Maryland area, I can tell you we pay a lot of money to a lot of these different food bloggers to come in, take photos and videos of our food, post it on their social media, write reviews about it. And from there, that is something that you can easily start today, all while just typing a little bit, eating food you're already eating, and from there you have your own business. Last but not least, the bare bones easiest thing to do, I think, is just Ubering people, doing food delivery. Something that I utilize multiple times a week is Instacart. This is where people actually run out, they get your groceries for you, you leave them a tip. This is because you don't have to worry about starting different companies, building a new website. You can literally start with all of the available tools that some of these companies have already built. So now that we know the benefits of applying with an EIN, then let's start by getting your business officially set up. So the best way to do this is with our sponsor, Taylor Brands, the business builder solution to managing your own business. Now, by the way, I believe this integration partnership was perfect off this video that we are already planning to make. So what Taylor Brands does is they make it really easy to apply for an LLC, get your EIN number, and even help you with taxes and bookkeeping so that you can maximize your deductions and be ready when tax season rolls around. If you need to get your LLC with Taylor Brands, they make it affordable and easy, where Taylor Brands offers all the legal required services for the LLC, including a registered agent, annual compliance, EIN, operating agreement, and more. So to get our EIN number, you'll want to click the link in the description below to get started, and it'll lead you to this screen right here. From there, you want to start with your business name. So let's say, for example, we're talking about Brian's Belly. After I type that in, I can check the availability, and since it's available, we can continue the process. If you run into any issues, just try other names and you should still be set. The first question it will ask is the stage of the business. So let's say already in business, and then let's type in our industry, something like food blog, and it should pop up. After a couple more questions, you'll get to the screen where you can choose your options. And for this, you'll want to make sure that you select your EIN because we'll need that. But the options don't just end there. Licenses, insurance, domains, business bank accounts, websites, and even logos, anything you can think of is on this platform. For this page, simply select all the products you'll require and then just click next. And after that, they'll ask you more follow-up questions to help you form your LLC. And along the way, make sure you get that EIN too. Once they process and review your applications, you'll be able to get all of this info and use that EIN to apply for your business credit card. Now, normally at this point, you'll have to go on, find a web domain, register, create a website, and even get a logo design, but Taylor Brands can do a lot of that for you. So if you want to get started with Taylor Brands today, head down below to the description, get started, and this can also help you significantly on getting that business credit card. Now, the third part of our formula in connecting this entire process is to just apply for that card. So go back, pick the card of your choice, use the link down below in the description. We'll use something like the Chase Inc. Business Cash Card as an example. So to find this, I click on this link here. We'll go to Learn to Apply. And by the way, guys, anytime you use these links on our site, it does also support our channel. From here, we're gonna go into Apply Now. It's gonna open up the portal. From there, we're going to take another application step. And then after like the fourth or fifth one, we're finally here in our own application. Now, let me walk you through the application process because I know this is where a lot of people tend to get spooked. So for Brian's Belly, I'm going to be the owner. I'm going to put in my first name and then my last name. From here, I'm going to put in my date of birth, put in your mother's maiden name. Y'all should know this. If you don't know your mother's maiden name, unless she passed away, rest in peace to anyone who's missing a mother. That just got grim. But you should know your mother's name if she's around. Next thing, go into your social security number, put that bad boy in there. This is where they're pretty much able to verify your own ID. If you pay taxes in a different capacity and you have something called an ITIN number, this is usually associated with people who don't have a social security number and they're international. You can use that option there too. Generally though, if you're living out of the United States, you're gonna be putting your social security number in here. You can also put in a domestic or a military address. So for us, I got a domestic address, 12345 Sesame Street. Oh, it's actually a place in Germantown. Cool. Put in your email address and then your phone number. And then in this section, this is where you need to put your total gross annual income. Now, a lot of people get spooked at this part because they're like, yo, Brian, I don't know what to put. And I can't lie because my business hasn't been around for a while. So let's think about my example of Brian's Belly. Brian's Belly has not actually made a single penny yet, but based on future projection, maybe I can do a little bit of research online and see what some of the top food blogs can make within their first year. And I would naturally assume I could make like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 if I really went hard with it. That'd actually be a fun video series. Let me know if you guys would ever want me to do that. Try to blow up Brian's Belly as a real business and see if I can make six figures from that. But basically for me, I know if I can get a few brand food deals, I can post up on my blog, put a lot of reviews, get connected with some of these higher end restaurants, I can get my monies back in the food that I eat. So I think $20,000 is really conservative. Just keep in mind, even if you're not making that much money from your business, that's not going to be a reason why banks end up declining you. I think it can be more sus if you put in something like, oh yeah, my brand new business that I just started for my food blog is going to make me $2 million a year. Because what's going to happen is they're going to want verification. If you can't prove that, then it's going to be a bit more tricky in trying to get approved for some of these cards. So be honest. I think in this instance, I don't have any revenue right now, but I would project I can at least make $20,000. On the more conservative side, if you are doing Instacart and you have some of the pay stubs to prove that, and you've only made like $500 in the last month you're doing it, 500 times 12, multiply that through the course of an annual gross income year, put in a little bit of your expenses, and you'll realize that's still about $6,000, give or take. Next thing here, this relates back to what you put into the Taylor Brands website. So if you set up your account as an LLC, then obviously you're gonna click LLC. If you didn't wanna do an LLC, you wanna be a sole proprietor, that's completely fine. That's what I did in the beginning until I realized, okay, maybe some of my businesses can make money and I wanna make sure I get some legal protection as well. So if you're a sole proprietor, generally it's gonna be your first and last name. That's completely fine. But if I wanted to put in Brian's Belly, I would put it in this section right here. Now, does your business use another name, a DBA or a trade name? Yes. Brian's Belly. And then if you got that EIN from Taylor Brands earlier, this is going to be in the home section. Get started with an EIN and get your EIN, and they'll give you one within 48 hours. Now, is your business physical address the same as your personal address? Well, if you work from home, chances are yes. If it's not, put in the actual address of the business. You can have one employee here and then a business phone number. You can also use your own personal phone number for that. This is where they're gonna contact you if your application has any issues or if they need more information to verify it. For the business establishment date, I would just put it to when I started the business. So it could be at the beginning of this year. For your annual business revenue, how much have you been able to make? If it's not much, if it was even just $1,000, that's completely fine. Business category, this is where it can get a little tricky because, Brian's Belly, I don't think I'm gonna find it in here, but just get really close to it. So for my example here, maybe information would be viable. And then from there, if I decide I wanna be like a publisher or maybe even media might be more relevant, just put it to the best possible answer you can do. Now with the business subtype from here, just get really specific as possible. I know it's not a music publisher, but I've had instances where I've had to put something completely different from what my actual business is, and that's because they just want to have an idea. They're not going to qualify you or disqualify you based on the type of business field that you're in. So for estimated monthly spend, just try to use this to your best judgment on how much you would spend on that card. For me, I'd probably just put my gas expense on my card, maybe my phone bill on this card, and then if I ever decide to buy like a new camera or something, I'd put that on there. So estimate, I'd say like 250 or even like $500. So I always go paperless. Would you like to add any employee cards? No. And then from there, you scroll down, make sure you read the terms and conditions. And then from there, you can submit your application. From there, if everything looks good, you filled out the information properly, you're then going to go into a new page where it says your application is most likely pending. If you're one of the lucky special few, you would then see an instant approval application, but don't get scared if your application is actually pending because that's what happened to me for my first Chase Inc. business card. But once I got approved for the first one and I was able to verify the information, then I got approved automatically for the rest. Now, generally, when Chase asks for more information, I just send them any information I get, like my EIN certificate that I get from irs.gov or any business proof that I own it, and then any source of proof where I can show them, okay, I was able to make money. So guys, by now, you should have your own business credit card. If for whatever reason you get declined, they will let you know in the mail on why that denial happened. And this could be because you have very low credit score or you have a low credit history. They'll let you know. And if you guys need to improve any one of those things, like try to jump up your score like 100 points, I also made videos on that on this channel that you can look up as well. So how do you get $100,000 plus worth of a business line of credit? Well, it's actually really simple. Once you get those business credit cards, all you have to do is just apply for more of them. At a certain point, these business credit cards will give you $20,000 to $25,000 of a credit limit. You can also request credit limit increases where some of these cards can single-handedly give you $50,000 to or even $100,000 for a business line of credit. I even saw someone recently within our Facebook group that shared that they had $75,000 to $100,000 on one of their Chase Inc. cards. Now, if you do that with some of the cards that have the 0% intro APR offer, you can then put your expenses that came from the business onto that card, and right when it's about to expire, you can then apply for another credit card that has a similar offer, and then you can just move that balance around. Just keep in mind, when it comes to transferring the balance on some of your credit cards, usually within the same issuer, you aren't able to do it, but if you have like the Chase Inc. Business Cash card, and then you decide to get the Amex Blue Business Plus card, and then you decide to get the Capital One Spark Business card, you can then keep rotating it and moving it around. Some final tips and tricks. You are gonna get a hard pull when you do apply for your first business credit card, so just keep that in mind. A lot of people freak out about hard pulls, but just know that this is a short-term negative thing and the long-term benefits far outweigh the negative of a hard pull reducing your score. So if your score drops by like 5 points and you get an email notification and you're like, oh, why did I apply for that? Don't worry about it. Your credit score will go back up. I talked about this earlier, but I want to emphasize it again because it is very important, but your first business credit card is always going to be the hardest one to get. After that, it's going to be a lot more easier to get approved. Now, big tip here though, is make sure you always pay off your card. It doesn't have to be in full if you're maximizing the no interest benefit for 12 to 18 months, but at least be paying off your minimum statement balance. Now, there are some people that I see who don't even pay off their minimum statement balance. That is a no-no. Always at least pay the minimum statement balance because that usually isn't too much. Now, also another tip, some issuers do report the business credit card onto your personal credit report, but just know that American Express and Chase for 100% sure don't. Other issuers like Capital One do, but then Capital One also has cards like the Capital One Spark Cash card where it actually doesn't. Another big tip is to make sure that you do hit those welcome bonus offers because this is how you're gonna be accruing a majority of your points. Another tip is to make sure that if you do have business credit cards, make sure you get a business checking account. So don't be pulling all your personal expenses from your checking account to pay off your business credit cards. Start separating them. This is how you're gonna stay above on your bookkeeping, and you're gonna make your life a lot easier if you're doing your own accounting. Now, if you guys enjoyed today's video, if you found any value, check out the links down below in the description. Thank you again to Taylor Brands for reaching out, sponsoring that segment of the video. And one last thing, if you guys wanna go ahead and join our community, or you're interested in getting a business credit card, you don't know how to go through the whole sign up process, check out the links down below in the description. We have free resources that you guys can have access to. And if you guys also want to join our Discord, that's going to be linked in our Facebook group. I will also have a link for that down below too, so be sure to check it out there. If you have any other questions, please let me know within the groups. I try to stick my head in there every once in a while to make sure that you guys have all the information you need in order to get approved. Thank you again for watching this video, and until next time, peace out.